morning, angels. So, earlier this year, between May and August, I listened to the audiobook versions of the first 3 books in the Twisted Love series. It was an experience. It was not an experience that I documented. When it came time to look into reading the 4th book, it turns out that my library did not have the audiobook. They also did not have the ebook. So the only way that I was going to be able to read this book, number 1, legally, and then also number 2, for free, was to check out a physical copy of it from the library. This wasn't super appealing to me, to be honest, because I had to put the book on hold, which means that an actual real life library staff member had to take the book, print out a piece of paper with my name on it, and then put it on the hold shelf, which means that in theory, there was going to be somebody out there in the universe within my immediate vicinity who knows that I've read this book. And I didn't really want that. I don't want people I know in real life to know that I've read this book. But you know what? My curiosity was high enough to go through with it anyway. Because the only things that I knew about this book before I started reading were the names of the main characters, because it's the 4th book in a series, and that according to a couple of reviews that I have seen, it was just as twisty and goofy and entertaining as the 1st book in the series, which, has its faults, but was at least a very entertaining book. So I soldiered on, put it on hold. I waited over 3 months for it. And then when I finally went to pick it up, my library card had expired and I didn't realize it. So I couldn't check the book out without going to the counter and having them renew my library card and then check it out for me, which means that my plan to get in and get out and have nobody that could possibly ever know me in real life see me checking out this book didn't end up working out, because I had to talk to a real human being and look them in the eye as they scanned this book. And yeah, I know, librarians have seen worse. I know. I just don't love the idea that there are now potentially 2 people in the city that I live in who know that I've read this book. When it came time to read this, I decided what better way to document any potential bananasosity than by simply filming my live reaction to everything that happened in it. This took me a little more than a week to read, because it's a absolute monster of a book, size-wise. And, I took 30 different clips, I think, while reading it. The raw footage without this little stuff that I'm filming today that I'm going to interject in between is already over an hour and a half long. So it's going to be a chunkster of a video for a chunkster of a book read by a chunkster of a girl. So I hope you enjoy. I do want to give 2 disclaimers. Number 1, I am 100% going to be talking about the entire full plot of this book. This is a spoiler live reaction / review. The review's at the end. And if that is not appealing to you, if you want to read this for yourself, you don't want to know, I'm going to be spoiling the entire thing. So you have the informed consent if you decide to keep going with this video. And the second disclaimer I want to add in here is that I've had bronchitis recently, and I still have a bit of a cough. And I was fighting that cough throughout this whole video. So, I have edited out the actual coughing spells. There are a few times where I clear my throat and I wasn't able to like adequately edit that out. I have done the best that I can. But I know it's annoying. It annoyed me through the whole editing process. And I'm sorry. A short, basic summary of the plot of the book. We have our female main character, Stella. She is creative, girly. She loves crystals. She loves yoga. She loves manifestation. She loves croissants and lemon ricotta pancakes. She lives in a very, very fancy building in Washington, D.C., owned by a man named Christian Harper. Christian is the billionaire alpha CEO of Harper Security, I think is the name of his company. Highly original. He like hires out bodyguards and private security and such like that. And then on the sidelines, he personally develops like security software and then sells it to the highest bidder, which I believe he mentioned includes occasionally foreign governments, which I do believe is technically treason.
But what if the authorities find out what happened? The FBI will take care of that.
It's not relevant. It is a little bit relevant. And basically what happens is that Stella has a job, but she also is a budding influencer. She's been an influencer for like 10 years, but she doesn't quite make enough money from that to be able to do it full time and still pay all of her bills.
-$1.
And she's up for a really big brand deal with this fashion brand called Delamonte. And she thinks that the way to get their attention and help them to pick her over everyone else is if she can get her follower count above 1 million. And she believes that the way to do this is that she needs a boyfriend. So she proposes the idea to Christian Harper, a man that she barely knows. She's only met him a few times, and he owns the building that she lives in and also lives on the top floor of that building. She proposes the idea to him that they start fake dating. And he says, sure, if you also do me a favor.
Have you heard of the term quid prom quote?
Like, he needs a regular solid date to functions that he has to go to for work. And Stella's like, sounds great. And then things kind of progress from there. Way back in either book 2 or 3, I don't quite remember, is when we very first met Christian Harper. And it was very obvious from reading that scene that he featured in that he had an instant attraction to Stella. And he is a security CEO and a tech billionaire. You can kind of surmise based on his creepy behavior that he is probably invading her privacy a little bit, let's say. And then early on in the story, Stella also starts to receive mysterious notes from a stalker. So Christian, because he is a security expert and an alpha male, basically takes Stella's private security and safety from this stalker as a personal mission of his own. So, without much further ado, here is a compilation of my every live reaction to reading the 4th and final book in the Twisted Love series, Twisted Lies. Page 1, I have some thoughts. So we open with our girly pop Stella at work. She's a magazine assistant, and she's not just a fashion magazine assistant. She is an assistant at a fashion magazine called DC Style, because the series is set largely in DC, except the second book. And so this book was published in 2022, and she works at a regional fashion magazine in 2022, which, like, this would make sense to me if it was 2003 and we were talking about, like, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, or 2006, The Devil Wears Prada, or anything in the 90s where fashion magazines were, like, such a big thing. You know, Sex and the City and her magazine situation. But this is 2022, and she works not just for a fashion magazine, but a regional fashion magazine that is specific to Washington, D.C. It just feels outdated to me. I'm like, the fashion magazine industry imploded, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago.
And monkey's brains, though popular in Cantonese cuisine, are not often to be found in Washington, D.C.
Is that what we ate?
Oh, I feel like it's more realistic in my brain for what's-her-face Bridget to be the queen of a small nation than it is for our girl Stella to work at a regional fashion magazine in 2022. I don't know. Couple more thoughts on chapter 1. Stella Bella is walking home from her job as a regional fashion magazine assistant. And she's approached by our male hero. Like, this is the hero of the story. And she's like, he gives me weird feelings like he's dangerous and I shouldn't trust him. Girl? Perhaps you should pursue that. Like, maybe we should be listening to that gut instinct instead of, you know, falling in love with him. Page 10, we meet who I can only assume is going to be probably a villain because he has olive skin. I've never been super attracted to older men, and he had to be in his mid to late 30s. I'm gonna go crawl into my grave now. Checking in from chapter 3. Here's the thing. Like, I'm an adult. I'm a solid adult. I have bills. I have a job. I have a home that I take care of. I have a dog that I take care of. I have a me that I sometimes take care of a little bit. But I am an adult. And considering the sexual content of this series, I hope that everybody reading this is an adult. I don't need my hand held because I'm an adult, okay? Is it nice to sometimes hold hands with someone? Yes, but I don't need my hand held. I can cross the street on my own. I wish authors understood this. I don't need to be told the joke. I don't need to be told the innuendo because I'm an adult. So they're at a dinner. And she didn't know he was going to be at this dinner. I presume he probably knew she would be there because he's stalking her. But he had a prime seat next to Louisa, who was too busy talking to who else, Raya, on her other side, to notice Christian hadn't taken his seat yet. I dislike the corner of the table. My stare was one of disbelief. What do you do if it's a four-seater? Then every seat would be the corner of the table. Yeah, you didn't need to explain the joke. Okay? You could have stopped at what do you do if it's a four-seater. I didn't need the next line explaining the joke to me because I'm an adult. I don't need my hand held. All right. Still in chapter 3, although we're on page 31 now. he's walking her home from this dinner, and they stop at her hotel, or out front, and she says, "The light from the window slashed across Christian's face, casting half of it in shadow. Light and dark, two halves of the same coin." Could this get more heavy-handed? Yes. How much more heavy-handed is it going to get? I fear the answer may be a lot. Chapter 5. She just ran into him in the lobby of their building, literally. And he says, "You're going on a date." And she says, "Yes, that's where you take someone out for dinner, drinks, maybe some hand-holding." And I was like, did the author read my mind? And then he says, "I don't hold hands." And I'm like, well, your author does. Still in chapter 5. The number of times that she has mentioned whiskey eyes, I'm only on page 48, so I'm not even 10% of the way through this book. And it's been at least 3 times. I get it. I believe I'm still in chapter 5, because it's only 3 pages later. It's going to be a long one. Still not 10% of the way through the book. Anyway, she went on the date, and he had asked her where she was going on the date. She said a bar, right? This is Washington, D.C. I don't remember quite off the top of my head, but last time I looked it up, I think it has a population of like 600,000 or something like that. All she said was a bar. And then he shows up at her date, and she's like, "Are you following me?" Which, I think anyone would probably ask at that point. And he says, "No, DC is a small city." Number 1, a lie. And we have overlapping social circles. Number 2, a lie. And then number 3, sir, like, all she said she was going to a bar, and that you happened to show up at that same bar. Come on. You're not getting away with... If she lets him get away with this and she doesn't say anything about how he's so obviously following and stalking her, I'm going to lose it. Yeah, I guess I have to lose it now. So her, like, former housekeeper, or maybe nanny or something, like, has Alzheimer's. She goes to visit her, and she does her hair. And the former nanny does Stella's hair. And they're, like, looking in the mirror, and Stella goes, "Morris stood next to me with a proud expression, and I flash back to the night of my first ever school dance, of us standing in our exact positions now, except we'd been 13 years younger and 1,000 years more carefree. She'd done my hair that night, too." Yeah, you didn't need to tell me she'd done your hair that night, too. I got it. I know who she is. I know she used to be your nanny, that she's been with you since you were a small child, and that looking at the two of yourselves in the mirror brings up memories for you. I got it. I got it on my own. I got it. Stella says that Christian looks like a god. And I always find it so funny when people say that attractive men look like gods. Because, which one? This one? This one? This one? Which god? I know that I'm on the verge of nitpicking at this point, but I'm a nitpicky person. And I just, like, Anna Huang is really just beating me over my head at this point with this writing. Like, is this why the book is so long? Is it because you explain everything twice? Getting ready was my favorite part of an event. Sometimes I liked it better than the event itself. Yeah, if it's your favorite part, then I would assume that you like it better than the event itself, because that would mean that the event is not your favorite. The getting ready is your favorite. And the favorite thing is the thing that you like the most. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm an adult, and I'm calm. I am an adult and I am calm. I am an adult and I am calm. No wonder his name was Christian. He had a major God complex. So I guess it is this one. I just want you to know that in order to find this image, I had to do a Google search for sexy Jesus, which, considering the current state of our theocracy, probably got me on a government list. But I also want you to know that down in the description, I'm going to link the website where I got this picture, because it's from a Sexy Jesus calendar that is up online for free by the artist. And it is from 2015, but I Googled it, and you can use a 2015 calendar in 2026. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Here's your calendar for the year. It's gold. They're going to an event. It's the first of their fake dates. And he bought her a dress, which is kind of him. It's silk. She immediately slips it on after disrobing, and so no underwear, presumably, and no shapewear. She explicitly states that she's not wearing a bra, okay? And this is a silk gown. She is not wearing a bra. The whole internet is about to see your nib-nops, girly pop. Black had always been my favorite color. Silent, deadly, impenetrable. The color black is silent but deadly. What are we doing here? We're on chapter 8, page 78. This is only the second chapter from Christian's point of view. We've had 6 from Stella, and this is only the second from him. And I have questions.
Can I ask you kind of a weird question?
He says that he can't stop thinking about her, and that at one point he flew across the world for several weeks in order to not think about her. And then also he carries a ring around with him. Okay, so background for anyone who didn't read the first 3 books. I think Christian was introduced in the second, maybe the 3rd book. He met Stella once. And then at the end of the 3rd book, he meets her a second time. And then they don't meet a 3rd time until the beginning of this book. He's been carrying a ring around. He's carrying a ring around. So I would just like to say, I actually ended up being incorrect about my assumption of why he was carrying a ring around in his pocket ever since he met Stella. It did not turn out to be because he's going to propose to her at any minute. The actual reason is way, way stupider and way, way worse. So, what I want is for you to be safe. There are bad people in this world, Butterfly, and some of them are in the room right outside. Butterfly? She says, Butterfly? He says, beautiful, elusive, hard to catch. Listen, not to steal a joke from Weirdo Book Club, but come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar, baby. I didn't take my eyes off her for the rest of the night, and I told myself it was because I didn't want a repeat of my earlier scare. After all, I'd always been good at lying to myself. He's so emo. Like, what a goofy emo weirdo. I feel this is supposed to be hot and brooding, and goofy emo weirdo. Hello from the void. It's 8:20 in the morning. I'm sitting here enjoying my little book, just having, a decent-ish grand old time. I'm a little more than 100 pages in. We just met a new character. Named Cage with a K. Kage. I have to put the book down. I need a break.
She thought her rent at the Mirage was low? That was nothing compared to how she lived rent-free in my head.
That line coming in the same chapter as Cage with a K, this is silly goosery, I fear. There's no way that I'm supposed to take this book seriously, right? We have eyeballs described as pools. If we get orbs in this book, I will be so happy. Okay. So, Stella is at dinner with her parents, who are evil, and her sister, who's also evil. And Christian texts her, "How is dinner?" And she's like, "How did you know that I'm at dinner?" Because she never told him that. And he's like, "It's dinner time. Call me psychic." And like, I don't understand how Stella doesn't get that he's like stalking her. Like, he's so obviously stalking her, and like that has not been revealed in the text yet, but it's pretty obvious to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just, how is this the second romance book I've read in a row that features a female main character with not one but two stalkers? And one of them is her boyfriend. Like, or fake boyfriend, whatever. It is illegal for you to enter private homes without prior permission, even if you own the building.
I supposed it was. Too bad I gave zero f***s about the law.
He's trying so hard. He's such a tryhard. Like, what a goofy ass dork. Yeah, so, Christian has entered Stella's apartment when she was not home in order to scan her house or her apartment for, like, hidden cameras. Because he's protecting her from her other stalker. And, like, she comes home while he's still there. She's upset about it. She starts crying, and he's like,
Uh-oh. Like, did I do something wrong? Is it weird and creepy when I break into girls' apartments as well as when other people do it?
It's just 2 books in a row. This is exactly like Lights Out, where he's like,
I don't understand why she'd be so upset when I break into her home. I don't mean her any harm.
and it's like, because you broke into her home. Like, it's not okay when you do it just because you're hot. Stella is telling Christian about how the stalking, not his stalking, but the other stalker, started about 2 years ago, and that she tried to go to police, but they were dismissive. And he's like,
It was time I paid the chief superintendent a call.
like he's gonna fix systemic misogyny with a phone call to one policeman. That's probably how it's gonna work, though, because that's how it works in these books. The big, strong alpha billionaire CEO makes one phone call and misogyny is fixed forever. My hero. Okay. Okay.
Our breaths thundered together in an erratic drumbeat.
What does that mean? Our breaths thundered together in an erratic drumbeat. I mean, are they like like a drumbeat? Like how are they hyperventilating? Like, I can't even do it. Like, they're just sitting on the couch, by the way. This is not a spicy scene. They're sitting on the couch, breathing as a drum beat.
book is gonna give me an asthma attack. It's just so much. Like, what does it mean to breathe in a drum beat? Like, how many beats per minute are we talking about? I mean, like a drum beat, like, but erratically and also together. Cage with a K? Is that his first name or his last name? I feel like it's his first name. They're at an art gallery and he touches her hip publicly. And she says she can't remember the last time she wanted a guy's touch. Also, earlier in the book, she said something about how she doesn't... It's not just that she doesn't date, but that she doesn't want to date. She's not interested in dating. And then after that, she also said Christian gave her unfamiliar feelings. And then she also said that she can't remember the last time she even fantasized about schmecks. And I just... Like... Somehow... What are you doing, sir? You knock that off. But like, the word asexual has not been said, and I have a feeling it's not going to be said. It's just, I grew up reading a lot of like cheesy Harlequin romances from the 80s and 90s. That was my like introduction to romance books, and not just Harlequin, but like other brands similar to Harlequin. And, you know, in those books, the women are always like, oh, I've never experienced desire before I met, you know, the male hero. And of course, but they're never asexual. And then like, I get it in like the 80s and 90s because like asexuality wasn't really like a big, like well-known thing. This is 2022. And I just feel like having a main character with no interest in sex, no interest in dating. She feels desire for apparently the first time because the entire feeling is unfamiliar to her. And the idea of asexuality isn't even like kind of thrown out into the mix. And I just don't understand. Like, this is 2022. It's 2022. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are people in these books doing? Okay, they're at the art gallery still. He's got both of his hands on her hips. She's leaning into his touch and sniffing him. He's brushing his mouth against her neck. She lets out a moan. They are fully in public at a well-attended art gallery opening. Take it home! Ooh, the people around you have not consented to be part of this. This is what I don't understand with exhibitionism. I'm just like, the people around you did not consent to be part of your scene. So, I'm about 165-ish pages into Twisted Lies, which, you know, I'm not gonna like do the math, but it's a fair bit of the way in. And I don't know a single thing about Christian. Like, we're a solid way into the book, like almost a third, and I don't know anything about our male lead. Like, I know that he's the CEO of a security company. Look at that man. But does he have a family? What is his backstory? Like, what did he do? Where did he grow up? Does he have siblings? Like, does he have friends? The only friend I know he has is Bridget's husband, Bridget the Queen's husband, the Prince Consort. What are you so upset about? This poorly written book? Yeah, me too. But that's his only friend.
I don't need friends. They disappoint me.
And then sometimes he goes and plays chess with Alex from book 1, just like it's kind of implied that they just sit there in silence and play chess, which makes sense for their characters, but also, like, why are men the way they are? I'm on page 170 now of Twisted Lies. I just, the way that it's written, and like, I want to be clear that, like, this is not an issue that is exclusive to this book or this author. It's just like, you know, these books were originally self-published and then picked up by a major publisher and have become incredibly successful. But it's just a testament to the current era of publishing, where this is what happens, is like authors self-publish their books. Major publishers pick them up and seemingly don't edit them, like, possibly at all. It just, because the way that this is written, I mean, this entire page is filled with one sentence, sometimes two sentence paragraphs. And it's really, it's not a good way to write. It doesn't flow well. It makes everything sound just wrong. I mean, we've got one sentence, one sentence, one sentence. 3 sentences in that paragraph. One sentence, two sentences, one sentence, two sentences, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence. That's too many paragraphs in one page. Like, and this isn't dialogue. So it's not like it's two people talking to each other and each time a new person speaks it's a new paragraph. It's all narrative, no dialogue, one sentence paragraphs. We need to bring back editors. Bring editors back from extinction. 173. Stella goes out, she buys a croissant, and then, you made me drop my croissant. She gets home, and she puts her key in the lock, and then she tries to open the door, and it's locked, and so she's like, oh, my stalker must have come to my apartment, because otherwise, like turning the key made me lock it instead of unlock it. And like, that is not how keys work. Like, the way keys work is you put it in the lock and you turn it one way to lock and the other way to unlock. Not both ways would unlock. That's not how keys work. Okay, like, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, 6 sentences, 6 different paragraphs. Are they not teaching this stuff in school anymore? When I went to school, I learned that if you're still on the same topic and you're not switching to dialogue, that you stay in the same paragraph. How old is Anna Wong? I need to know. Anna Wong and I are the same age. We were born in the same year. She's 2 months older than me. Okay? So we went to school at the same time. And I am a product of the U.S. American public school system. Not a great school system. But even I know how paragraphs work. This isn't how paragraphs work. I'm fine. I'm an adult and I'm fine. The thing is, like, I'm in the middle of a tense scene where Stella's second stalker, the evil stalker, has broken into her home and left a mysterious object on her nightstand that has scared her. It hasn't been revealed to us what it is yet. So the mysterious object just turns out to be another letter that he left on her bedside table.
Yeah, that was disappointing. I thought it was going to be something interesting, but that's too much to ask for this book. She calls Christian. Now he's rushing to her apartment to save her from whatever scary object is in her home. And I'm so distracted by the writing that I'm putting the book down in the middle of this mysterious tense scene to rage about the writing. This isn't how books should be. This isn't... where are editors? Where did they go? Where did the editors go? Were they driven into the sea by the Red Bull? Like, what? Where are they? Back again. Okay, so I'm still in the same chapter. Stella's had a rough day, someone broke into her house.
But the police will be here any minute. What happens then?
Why should the police come? Nobody's called them.
So Christian is, told her, not asked her if she wants to, but informed her that she will be living with him from now on. And, he's drawing her a bath. And, he says, I didn't know how the hell I ended up drawing a bath for someone else, like a 19th century attendant, but at least there were no witnesses to my indignity. If anyone saw me like this, I would never live it down. That was the whole paragraph, 2 sentences, just FYI. But also, I'm sorry. We have not a single, even a shred of backstory on this man whatsoever. I am now over a third way into the book. No backstory on this man whatsoever. So I don't know how he grew up or what his childhood was like or anything like that. But the way that this man talks, it's like I don't think he's ever done a single thing, not even just a nice thing, but any single thing for another human being ever. Other than a business deal that he gets paid for. It does not appear to me that this man has ever performed even one single action on behalf of another person. I'm in a rage. This is the maddest I've ever been.
I'm in a rage! This is the maddest I've ever been!
Of course. The sheets on his bed are only black and gray. Goofy emo. I kind of wish that I had the ebook version of this so that I could do a search for how many times they talk about whiskey eyes. And I know what she means by this. What she means is that he has amber eyes, the color of whiskey. But there are so many synonyms for amber other than whiskey. Tawny, ochre, bronze, tan, honey. I could go on, but it has to be whiskey because he is man. He is manly man who drink whiskey. Manly whiskey drink man. And it's just... I read a different book earlier this year that used a certain phrase over 20 times. It was I counted. I went through and counted. It was 23 times. And it wasn't he said or a well-known phrase or anything. It was, I don't remember now. But when you repeat these weirdo phrases like this over and over, it gets... I have to pause every time to be annoyed. And I can't afford to keep pausing when I read this book to be annoyed because it's due back at the library in 10 days. And page 190, we actually got a full paragraph, a whole paragraph. That was 1, 2, 3, 4,
5 whole sentences in a paragraph. And then page 191, it's one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, 2 sentences, one sentence. I'm never going to finish this book. Stella, after being informed that she now was going to be living with Christian, they're at breakfast the first morning that she's there, and his housekeeper, Nina, has made... There's glass pitchers of coffee, juice, water, and tea. She made eggs 6 different ways. Crispy bacon, fluffy lemon ricotta pancakes, Belgian waffles, French toast, croissants, muffins, and scones. A make-it-yourself smoothie bowl section boasted every fruit and topping she could think of. And she made Stella her daily morning wheatgrass smoothie. It is canonically 8:30 in the morning. What time does Nina wake up every day? Like, did she get there at 2 a.m. to start making breakfast? I'm assuming that she had to purchase the croissants because you cannot make actual French croissants in one day. But, like, let Nina go home. We have pools of amber ice. No orbs yet. I'm still holding out for orbs. His apartment is 8,000 square feet. My apartment is like 650 square feet.
Ce soir, des antiques.
What was wrong with me? I'd never gotten so worked up over a guy before. I even visited a sex therapist once in case my low libido was cause for concern, but she'd reassured me it was normal. Not everyone experienced sexual attraction all the time or in the same way. I like that, but just say the word asexual. It's not a bad word. Not that it would matter. This book uses a lot of bad words. We could have done something here. Like, you could have done something here. And you've deliberately chose not to. Page 233, Stella is at a photo shoot for the, this, like, brand that she got to deal with. And, you know, it just occurred to me 233 pages in, like, the only reason that I know what Stella looks like is because she was described in one of the other books. So, like, this book, the only thing that they've told us about her is that she has green eyes and, like, dark curly hair. But this book has not mentioned her race at all. So we know from the other books that she's mixed race. She's like Puerto Rican and Japanese and also white, I think. But that has not been mentioned at all in this book. The book that she stars in. Is that not weird? Am I the only one who thinks that's weird? Like, should I be 230 pages into your book and not know what race you are? Despite the phone pressed to his ear and the hungry stares of every woman and several men in the room pinned on him, he didn't look away when I gave him a playful wink and smile. Every woman and several men. Okay, so queer men exist in this universe because they have crushes on Christian. But God forbid there be one lesbian in the room. Sure. Christian's being a weirdo, and he's like leaning possessively over Stella right now, and he says he can hear her pulse. He can hear it. Not with a stethoscope. He can just, like, hear her heart beating. Like, is he a werewolf? Is he a vampire? Is this book about to take a really big turn? Like, what do you mean he can hear her pulse? What are we doing here? Stella says that she's like wondering what Christian would taste like if they were to kiss each other. And she says like she thinks he would taste like heat, sin, and unfiltered masculinity. And like, okay, so I realize that like my assessment of this situation is clouded by lesbianism, but what the f does masculinity taste like? Because when I think of masculinity, I think of a specific smell that I have smelt on patients a number of times, of that like unwashed man smell. You know what I mean? It's like sweaty and smegmatic and like musty and really gross smell. I don't want to know what that smell tastes like. So I don't know what the Stella's talking about. Page 287 out of 550. So more than halfway through this book. And we have our first mention of her race. What excellent storytelling. So I'm pretty sure I forgot to like film a reaction to this, but Christian did blow up someone's car. Like for fun. I don't remember exactly what happened, but he was at the club and some guy like annoyed him. And yeah, Christian like happened to have a car bomb in his pocket, so he blew up the guy's car. You know, normal stuff for a Tuesday. My hair looks insane. Whatever. So Stella reached the 1 million follower mark on Instagram, and she's gotten this like big campaign with a fashion brand, and she's because she's now reached 1 million followers. What the fuck is happening right here? She's like getting all these brand deals and stuff, and she says it's the end of April or beginning of May in the book. And she says she'd already made enough money from brand partnerships this past month to cover her expenses for the rest of the year. So, first of all, you made enough money in 1 month to last you an entire year. Like, that's great for you. Get your bag, queen. I'm certainly not jealous at all. But, also, what expenses? Like, what expenses do you have? Like, Christian is paying for the memory care facility for your ex-nanny. You're living with Christian for free. You're eating Christian's food. You don't have, like, rent or utilities. Like, you're using his internet. Like, the only things I think she's probably paying for herself are, like, her cell phone and snacks. Like, she doesn't really, like, go anywhere most of the time. She's just his housewife at this point, except they're still just fake dating. But, what expenses? Like, what are you talking about? You don't have a real life, okay? You don't have bills. What expenses? You should take more vacations, or at least connect with nature every once in a while. It's good for the soul. It's too late for my soul, Stella. There's no way I'm supposed to take this seriously. I can't. Hi. Baby, what are you doing? What are you doing? No. No lickies, no licks, no. Not for you. Still, sometimes I wondered what would have happened had I attended Parsons. Would I have skipped the DC style chapter of my life? Maybe. Would I already be a designer with multiple fashion shows under my belt? Less certain, but probably. Yeah, probably is a stronger word than maybe. So you can't say that it's more probable and less certain at the same time. That doesn't make sense. Get a dictionary. So we finally got a little bit of Christian's backstory, 312 pages into this book. He's telling us about how his parents were super duper in love with each other, and that they, even after they had a child, they never lost their fire for each other. And Stella says, "Yet you don't believe in love." "No, because my parents had wasn't love. It was ego and destruction disguised as affection. A drug they kept chasing because it gave them a high they couldn't get anywhere else. It clouded their judgment to the detriment of themselves and everyone around them. And it gave them cover to do all these irrational things because no one questioned them if it was for love. It wasn't just my parents. Look at the world around us. People kill, steal, and lie in the name of this abstract emotion we're told is supposed to be our ultimate goal. Love conquers all. Love heals all, etc., etc. Alex gave up a multi-billion-dollar company. Bridget almost lost a country. And Reese gave up his privacy, which mattered more to him than any amount of cash. It's completely illogical." Yeah, okay. I can't take this man seriously. You can't pay me to take this man seriously. What? So, earlier in the book, we had one chapter that, like, at the chapter heading was labeled as being from both their perspectives. And it, like, basically I can't remember if it started off with Christian or Stella, and then halfway through the chapter it switched to the other perspective. And I'm just like, why not just make a new chapter? Just have a short chapter. 2 short chapters. This one is labeled as a Stella chapter, and halfway through it switches to Christian, and it wasn't even labeled as a dual chapter. Like, just make 2 short chapters. This is what dual narration was made for. Ugh! May was shaping up to be a shitty fucking month. He's taking cues from Sir Thomas Mallory. Okay, so Christian's in a bad mood because whoever is stalking Stella works for his company. He knows this because they used one of his, like, bespoke software things in order to stalk her. And so he's feeling bad about it. And so in order to make himself feel better, he, like, picks a random bad guy off his list and like hacks into all his bank accounts, gives all his money to charity, helps initiate, sends his wife the name of a divorce lawyer, sends revenge of him with his mistress to every employee at his Fortune 500 company, forwards tax fraud information to the IRS, and then just for good measure, like, kills his car somehow. He doesn't blow it up like the last guy, but and then he's like, "No, I'm calm enough that I can go to bed." And I'm just like, okay. When Stella has emotions, she does deep breathing exercises and yoga and, like, chants with her crystals and, like, manifests. And when Christian feels bad, he ruins people's lives and blows up their cars.
I need to get these feelings out.
Like, his version of yoga and crystals is hacking and revenge. And I'm like, he justifies this by saying that, like, this guy embezzles money and commits tax fraud, but, like, his mistress is innocent as far as we know. She didn't deserve revenge to be done to her. Nobody deserves revenge, really, but, like, what did she do to you? I shouldn't be touching her and tainting her with my crimes, both past and future. Yeah, I mean, you could just, like, not commit any more crimes, though. Again, this is a Stella chapter, a Stella-only chapter. And we just, in the middle of it, switched to Christian's point of view. Just make a new chapter. What is the point of this? I don't remember the first 3 books doing this. So we've now come to the part of the book where Stella and Christian realize what we as the audience have known all along, which is that the feelings they have for each other are slightly less than platonic. Or more than platonic, depending on your persuasion. We are now entering the part of the book that one might call the smut montage, and obviously there are limitations as to what I am allowed to say on the internet without being taken down. So I cordially invite you to join me on the following face journey as I read through the beginnings of Stella and Christian's new phase in their relationship.
I will take a silent face journey as I scroll through this comment section.
I'm not supposed to be laughing during this scene. But what? Okay. I wanted to swallow the sound of my name from her mouth. See if she tasted as sweet as she made it sound, or if it was dirty and wanton, like sin made verbal. More than that, I wanted to bury myself inside her. I wanted to bury myself inside her, paint her with and ruin her so thoroughly it made the fall of the angels look like child's play. I would never make it to heaven, but that didn't matter. but that didn't matter as long as she ruled beside me in hell.
It's in a fog, I'm under her spell. Am I in heaven or am I in hell?
god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is it. It's supposed to be funny. Ew. No. No. We just really went from 0 to weird very quickly. Like, they haven't even kissed yet. Not really. Like, they've had a couple, like, little brushes of the lips, but no, like, they've never really kissed with intention. And now he's, lingering her on a beach out in the open. And he said, do you like being fingered out in the open like a good little... Like, you've never even kissed this woman. You just really went from 0 to very, very fast, and they didn't set any boundaries on whether this kind of degrading, dirty talk is okay. Ooh. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Why are you slamming? When I tell you to scream, I want you to scream, or I'll bend you over and spank your raw until you beg me to let you scream. Ooh, where did this come from? They did not have any discussion on whether this kind of thing was okay. No. Why would he just assume that she's okay with this? Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. He's suckling on her whipple. Is he a pig?
That is definitely not Miss Piggy.
She asked him to kiss her, and he's like, I don't know. Giving her release was one thing. Kissing was a whole other. What is this, Pretty Woman? I didn't know where I ended and he began. Okay, my personal trifecta of bad writing is tongues dueling or battling for dominance, letting out a breath you didn't know you were holding, and then eyes being described as orbs. But honestly, I think not knowing where you end and he begins should be like we should make it a quadfecta. I haven't gotten orbs yet. I'm still holding out for orbs. And then just to really make what was such an incredible experience for me, so even better, we switched points of view in the middle of a chapter. I mean, obviously, because this is a romance novel, and it's not a nuanced one in any kind of way. Of course, they had no discussion beforehand over whether that level of dirty talk was okay. or whether it was okay for him to wrap his hand around her neck.
This isn't the Chinatown bus. You can't just choke someone who's sleeping.
But of course, you know, because there's no nuance to this novel and they're not going to explore any kind of complicated topic. Of course, she just loves all of that immediately, and they don't need to discuss it. And actually, like, who needs to get consent for anything when you can just hope and pray that your partner is going to be okay with whatever you do? And of course, she is okay with everything he did. So I just wanted to interject and put out there that my issue that I'm going through in these clips is not the existence of the spicy scene. I can read spice and I'm fine. Sometimes I can occasionally even enjoy it. Generally speaking, when we're talking about male-female pairings, I don't love to read spicy scenes from the man's perspective because it often is not to my taste to be in a man's head while he is doing things to a woman that maybe he doesn't actually respect that much. But I can live through it. My issue isn't even with the part where it gets a little bit kinky. So we as the reader, because we've been in Stella's head, we know that she does on occasion fantasize about kinky scenes. Which, plot hole, I know. It's shocking that there would be a plot hole in this incredible work of literature. But there is a plot hole in here because we simultaneously in this book have Stella who says that she hasn't even fantasized about sexual scenarios in years, and then also tells us that sometimes she fantasizes about being tied up and roughly taken, let us say. Yeah, you can't really have both. You can't have no fantasies of sex and then also have fantasies of sex. That just doesn't... You can't have both. They're literally anathema to one another. Whatever. So the issue I have is not with the kink. It's with the part where Christian does not live in Stella's head. Yes, he is stalking her, but like, he's not inside her brain. He doesn't have access to her thoughts. As far as we know, he has not invented that software at his alpha male billionaire CEO tech cybersecurity physical security empire. But so he's not aware that she sometimes fantasizes about kinky sex. Okay, he sees her on a beach with her top off, sends everybody else away, and then just starts going at it with no discussion between themselves, no questions, no confirmation of consent. That's the part that I'm reacting to. Not the presence of spice or the presence of kink. I'm reacting to the complete and utter lack of communication and consent that is happening within these scenes. Yeah, I can handle kink in fiction when it's consensual. I can't handle kink in fiction when it's written like this. You can't just call someone a good little... I'm not having a good time today. Made it through the first two spice scenes. I survived. Physically intact, if not emotionally.
Sorry, didn't mean to frighten anyone.
You're a bit late for that!
But now, just... We're in the chapter after, and we switched POVs in the middle of the chapter again, and I just... Are we gonna do this every chapter now? What's the point of labeling the chapters with the chapter header as Stella if you're gonna switch to Christian in the middle, or vice versa? It doesn't make any sense. It just...
There was one shot at Mr. Body in the study, 2 for the chandelier, 2 at the lounge door, and 1 for the singing telegram.
That's not 6.
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1.
There was only one shot that got the chandelier. That's 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Even if you were right, that would be 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1, not 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Okay, fine. 1 plus 2 plus 1. Shut up!
I mean, it would be fine if that was the pattern we had established from the beginning, but it wasn't. it was the first 60% of this book. It was everybody had their own chapter, and now we're just going willy-nilly back and forth. Why would you change the entire format and structure of your book halfway through? I'm fine. You know, the thing is that these things didn't really bother me. I don't know if this happened in the first 3 books, the switching of P's of E's. The other stuff, like the single sentence chapters, didn't bother me in the first 3 books because I listened to those. I didn't read them physically. I listened to the audiobooks. So, like, the bad writing of the single sentence paragraphs didn't bug me because I didn't know it was happening because I was just listening to it. But now that I'm seeing it on page, it's killing me. If I had read the first 3 books physically, well, I wouldn't have gone past the first book probably because it would have bugged me so much. And at this point, I'm only going to finish this book because I already read 3.5 books in the series. So I may as well finish out the last book. But, like, I want to make a few things clear. Touch another man, he dies. Let another man touch you, he dies. Tell me I can't touch you, and I will fucking die. Disgusting. She's not allowed to say no or you'll die. It's so gross. It's so nasty and gross and nasty. I hate it. You know what I don't hate? Look at him. He does that to himself, you know. Nobody ever believes me when I say that he tucks himself into bed, but he absolutely does that to himself. I don't know what kind of dog he is, but he's whatever type of dog loves to be buried under stuff and, like, burrow under things and be, like, buried under blankets and pillows. That's what he is. Look at him. He did that himself. He's just so fucking cute. So Christian just, like, murdered someone in cold blood. I don't know what's going on in this book. I mean, her having a stalker. Oh, first of all, actually, like, I was wrong. I guess Christian isn't stalking her. Like, he was stalking her because he did follow her, like, on a couple of different dates, and he's, like, definitely monitoring her phone. Because how else would he know, like, that she was at dinner with her parents when she had never told him? Like, he's definitely, like, tracking her. Anyway, I was wrong about him, like, fully stalking her, I guess.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Yeah, he did. He sure did just muck duck someone. I know. Romance novels are not realistic, and they're not really meant to be. Like, they're fantasies, even if they're not, like, fantastical. But she's giving him some oral servicing, and she says that at the sight of his eggplant, her mouth goes dry, and then the next sentence is that she's taking him down her throat with a dry mouth, and she gets the eggplant all the way in her mouth because her lips are now at the stem of the eggplant with a dry mouth. Okay, again, I know this is a fantasy, but, like, he interrupts the oral service pushes her against a window, and then she hears him unwrap foil. They never say the word condom. She just says, like, she hears the sound of foil. But, like, where did the condom come from? Because they were sitting on the couch. He stood, carried her to the window, shoved her into the window. And now there's foil. Where did the condom come from? Where did it come from? Does he keep them in all of the pockets of his suit? He just has like one condom in every pocket? Where did it come from? A quick rundown of page 410, okay? Here we go. One sentence, one sentence, one sentence, two sentences, one sentence, one sentence, two sentences, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, two sentences, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence, one sentence. 20 paragraphs. 1 page. I was right. I was right. He was stalking her. Okay, she just accidentally opened a drawer in his desk and pulled out multiple dossiers on herself and everyone that she knows, and I was right. He was stalking her. Maybe he wasn't following her physically, but he was fucking cyber stalking her. I knew it. 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 I'm so smart.
I shouldn't have left the files somewhere she could stumble on them, but I wanted to keep them close and couldn't bring myself to throw them out after all these years. After all these years. Because he's been stalking her. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I figured it out. I knew it. I knew it. They're years old. The dossiers are years old. I knew it. Ooh, I felt the force of my own intelligence so hard that I actually sat up, even though I was really comfy on the couch. I was even more right than I thought. Okay. So I thought that he started stalking her the day that they met when she signed the lease to rent the apartment at his building. Actually, he first saw her like a couple years before that in passing at a cafe and just started stalking her from there.
I know I've never been in love or even thought about love, but that girl I saw for 30 seconds, she's the love of my life.
Oh, it's so gross, but I was so right. And this is when we learn the meaning behind the ring that Christian carries around in his pocket every single day, presumably next to the condom and the car bomb. So Stella had dropped that ring outside the cafe when he first saw her, and he picked it up and he's kept it for 5 years. He reaches into his pocket and feels the ring, and it reminds him that there's goodness in the world, because his world is dark and gray, and he is vengeance and he is wrath, and all he knows is murder and capitalism. But when he feels the ring that Stella dropped, and he's like, there is sunshine out in the darkness.
I don't deserve you, and that's it. Some kind of hidden message to show me life is precious, and I guess it's true.
Anyway, I told you it was dumber and worse.
So Stella displayed a backbone, and she broke up with Christian after finding out that he's, also been stalking her. Small details. And, because he had threatened earlier that if any man ever touched her again, he would kill him. Christian sees her out at a bar with another man, and she says, if anything happens to him, I'll never forgive you. And Christian says, the only words she'd spoken to me after our breakup, and they were to save another man. she's just asking you not to murder another person. And he's like, how dare she save the life of this other man from my wrath? Like, I can't take this man seriously. How am I supposed to root for this man? How am I supposed to root for this man? Also, how are there still over 100 pages? There's like 110 pages left in this book still. How? It's so long, and for what? It's killing me. It's killing me. This book is murdering me. And I'm so mad because, like, the first three books the first three books were like silly, goofy, fun times. And honestly, I think that's because I listened to the audiobooks. Reading this in actual physical format is murdering me from the inside out. Okay, so they're broken up. He's emo about it. And though he's dealing with his emotions by writing letters to her that he doesn't send, he just writes letters to her. Unfortunately, that is cute, and I do like it. And unfortunately, the letters are really sweet. This is not going to work on me. I will not bow down to this man. So the stalker has been revealed, and it's really disappointing. So throughout the book, okay, once Stella landed the Delamonte, like, brand campaign, this local magazine called, like, Washington Weekly did a profile piece on her. And the stalker is, like, the guy who wrote the piece. And the reason that he's stalking her is because they took one class together in college and he's, like, obsessed with her. That's so disappointing. So, like, nothing is connected here. Like, it has nothing to do with art or, like, the fact that Christian's dad was an art thief. Oh, yeah, Christian's dad was an art thief.
So it was all nothing to do with the disappearing nuclear physicist and Colonel Mustard's work on the new fusion bomb.
No, communism was just a red herring.
It's just some random dude? It's not even like some guy we met briefly back in book 1, 2, or 3 who turned out to be a bad guy. Like, it's literally just some guy. I'm so disappointed. Like, this book could have been so much better. So the random guy kidnapped her and tied her up, blah, 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 blah. And, like, he gesticulates wildly as he talks and giving his villain monologue. And so every time he turns his back, she's, like, quickly working at the ropes. And then every time he turns to face her again, she, like, stops. And it's so corny. It's so cheesy. It's literally that scene from Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Seagulls in the sand, can you hear my prayer? I keep trying, but I'm getting nowhere.
Oh my god. This is so unserious. I cannot possibly take this serious. Like, he's giving his villain monologue, and Stella's internal monologue is, a sick feeling ballooned in my stomach. He was delusional, beyond delusional. He said he loved me, but what he was doing wasn't love. Love was accepting me for who I was, flaws and all. Love was believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Love was quiet moments and soft kisses, breathless exhilaration and rough hands all rolled into one. Love was what Christian gave me. He'd crossed boundaries and kept secrets, but he would never do this. He would never drug me or intentionally hurt me.
I am the queen of the universe. The waves part, and they engulf me, and the water is warm.
Number one, girl, are you seriously sitting here justifying why it's okay for Christian to stalk you, but not the random guy who isn't hot? Like, what is this, Lights Out? And second of all, girl, you are currently tied up and being held at gunpoint by a man with a delusional disorder. Okay, this man is not living in reality and he needs to get on medication, okay, which obviously isn't going to happen because we all know that Christian's going to murder him. You need to get to safety, and then you can have your internal monologue where you realize that it's okay for Christian to stalk you because he's hot. Like, girl, the priorities.
I feel like a deer in the headlights of love.
Yeah, okay, so Stella is fighting off the guy, and she sinks her teeth into his neck and tears. I will reluctantly give Anna Wong one single merit point because that's cool. That's fucking cool. She went full werewolf on his ass. So Stella's been kidnapped by her stalker. I don't even remember the stalker's name. I remember that he's a reporter for Washington Weekly. This major presence that has been in here throughout the most of the book and was made out to be such a big deal was so inconsequential that I don't even remember his name. Anyway, throughout the book, Christian has assigned Stella a personal bodyguard named Brock. I haven't mentioned him before because he's essentially irrelevant. But the stalker incapacitates Brock. Brock just barely manages to notify Christian that Stella has been kidnapped.
This is incredible! Not so incredible as what happened next.
It just so happens that when this notification comes through to Christian, he is in the middle of a gunfight with Cage with a K. Because there's also been another running plot that is, again, irrelevant. Someone from within Harper Security has been selling company secrets to a rival security company. And it turns out that that person is Cage with a K. So they're in a gunfight. And Christian muck ducks him. And then he runs off to save Stella.
I'm running my legs just as fast as I can. To the left, to the right. I'm a frustrated man.
What the point of having any of these plot lines are that are so easily taken care of and have no bearing on one another, and they don't converge in any kind of way. We are led to believe that the stalker plotline and the selling company secrets plotline are going to converge because we're told that they converge, right? Christian was having a bad day, right? Remember when he ruined that guy's life with the revenge porn? So the reason he was having a bad day was because he learned that the way that the stalker was able to get into Stella's apartment was by using this type of technology that he had invented. And so he's like, oh, the stalker must work for my company and be in my inner circle, because how else would they have access to this proprietary technology that I invented? Okay? That goes nowhere. The stalker has nothing to do with his company whatsoever. The fact that the cameras at the apartment building got wiped end up having nothing to do with the stalker whatsoever. Even though they told us that that was how the stalker got away with it, they end up in the end not actually being connected to one another. And I know. It is absolutely shocking to you and to me that a novel of this literary merit and skill and magnitude could possibly have 2 plot holes in it. But I'm sorry that I have such bad news for you. And then it turns out that the stalker, the way that he got into the Mirage, that's the name of the apartment building, without being seen, it's just that he also lives there. So that's not even interesting. She didn't even bother having, some sort of elaborate heist plan. It's this book, there are so many ways where this book could have been interesting and could have been better. And it's like she deliberately chose not to do that. And
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't.
Now, there's one thing I don't understand.
One thing?
Yeah. So Christian saved her, and that entire ordeal lasted for one chapter, 10 pages. Out of 550, 1/55th of this book was actually interesting. So after he rescues her, they go back. He rented a hotel, and he bandages all of her cuts and scrapes, and then she takes a shower. Wrong order, friends. Stella asks Christian to tell her a story, and he starts telling her the story of his mother's slip and slide, and the thing that you want to tell a girl about after she's just been kidnapped. So Christian's dad was an art thief, because he stole art because Christian's mom loved art. And this was how he showed his love for her, is that he stole artworks for her. And then during an art heist, Christian's dad was killed. And then 2 days later, his mom slipped and slowed? Anyway, because she couldn't bear to live without his dad. And but she left a slip and slide note for Christian, and he took it and he put it inside the one painting that his mom ever did, which is a really ugly painting. It's the same painting that ended up in Josh's hand in book 3. That whole plot where Jules, I don't even really remember, was it like a drug lord or something that she talks to about? Not a drug lord, maybe. It was a crime lord of some kind that she has to go undercover for. Whatever the fuck that plot was. I don't remember. What a bizarre series this is. Anyway, Christian got the painting back, but it's staying with his friend Dante, the old man in his mid-30s. And during this whole story that he's telling Stella, he says, "I resented what art had done to my family."
Ce soir, des gentiques.
He resents what the concept of art did to his family. So if you read book 1, or just watched Lexi, aka Nuli Nova's video about book 1, because she, I believe, reads the entire speech in that video. Alex, at the end of the book, gave this really stupid monologue about art and how he always thought that art was useless because it was too happy. Listen, he's trying so hard. He's such a tryhard. He really, really is. After waiting hundreds of pages to get any information on Christian's backstory whatsoever, for that to be his tragic backstory, that his dad was an art thief and that art ruined his life, it's so goofy. It's so unserious. Christian, don't give him any pieces of your soul. One of my favorite things about you is that you think I have any pieces left. It's so goofy. It's so corny. It's so cheesy. It's so cringy. It's so goofy. What a silly, goofy man. It's like you can't even call this a dark romance because he's so silly. Okay, so in Lights Out, when Josh is stalking Allie, and they're justifying why it's okay for him to stalk her, but it's not okay for the villain of the piece to stalk her. Allie doesn't have any friends. And I feel like she could have been saved from that situation if she just had
one friend. Stella has 3 friends. Her friends tell her that it's okay that Christian stalked her because he loves her.
Woman, I love you.
Which, like, I can understand that coming from Ava, because Ava was also stalked by her now fiance. So Ava's already been brainwashed. She's already been Stockholmed. The other 2, what are we doing?
Why would you let him treat you that way? Is he hot? Well, he's really shiny.
These are the worst friends ever. Don't encourage her to stay with this man. What are you doing? Also, obviously, Christian did kill the stalker, but not before peeling parts of his flesh off. So Stella just asks Christian, hey, did you kill my stalker? And he's like, yep. And she just goes, right.
Now, I suggest that we stack the bodies in the cellar, lock it, leave quietly one at a time, and pretend that none of this has ever happened.
And another thing.
There's still one thing I don't understand.
One thing.
So, like, here, right, we're switching between scenes, and they show this by putting a little line there. But there are other parts of the book where when we switch between scenes, they don't put the line there. They just do, like, a one-line skip break. You know, so there's just a little blank line, and then, but no, like, actual black line there. And I'm just like, this book is traditionally published. A publisher picked this book up and sold it and published it under their brand. And this is the product that they put out. So I don't remember if we got this backstory in book 1, but apparently the way that the 4 girly pops met is that they were assigned to the same dorm room. So, like, they had a quad dorm room. Not 2 people to a dorm room like normal college, but 4 people in a room. Yeah, Bridget was at the time the princess of a small European nation. And you're telling me that she was rooming it up in a quad? Like, I don't believe for even 1 second that the royal palace of Eldora would have allowed their princess to live in the dorms at all. But even if she had, you're telling me she wouldn't have had a private suite? Also, at that time, Ava's dad was still rich. Why was she living it up in a quad? Rich people don't have to have roommates. Why can't we just think about things for 1 second?
1 plus 2 plus 1 is 2 plus 1 is...
We've reached the end of this journey. So throughout, I don't think I've even mentioned this at all. Throughout the book, Stella has, through Christian, gained the confidence to follow her dream of starting her own fashion brand, which she designs the dresses, apparently makes them herself, even though she admits in the text that she's only ever made 1 dress from a store-bought pattern 1 time, and then starts a fashion brand with her own patternless design, but whatever. Sure. And it's been 1 year now that we're in the epilogue. It's been 1 year, and she has a fashion show at Milan Fashion Week. And her gown was worn by Chris Carrera Reynolds, the wife of an action movie star named Nate Reynolds that we met, I believe, in book 2, who won an Oscar the night that she wore the dress on the red carpet. An action movie star won an Oscar for an action movie. Sure. So after her fashion show, you know, one single year after starting her fashion brand, Christian, like, proposes. And the way that he does this is that he just gets down on one knee with a velvet box and says, "Stella, will you marry me?" No speech. No speech? No speech? He just gets down on one knee and says, "Stella, will you marry me?" And she says yes. Where's my speech? I, as the reader, deserve a speech. I deserve a speech. I deserve to be moved. After putting up with these characters in this book for 530 pages at this point, I've got 20 pages left. Where's my speech? I want a love speech. We did it. We're done. We made it through the book. We made it through the epilogue. Everybody's married or engaged. Most of them have babies. Happily ever after for everybody. Blah, blah, blah. So the first book in the series, Twisted Love, is unhinged in a fun way. The second book was more boring, but still like a little bit unhinged. The third book was unhinged in a stupid way. That book, pff. This one, I'm like struggling to find one redeeming quality about this book. This one is just dumb in a dumb way. I hope there was some sort of entertainment value to be found, but not for me. I mean, I'll have a fun time editing because I like editing, but yeah, no, I don't know. It wasn't for me. Okay, so I'm just kind of going through like some of the things that I tabbed in this book before I give it back to the library. One of the things that I tabbed very early on in the book is that Stella says that, so her family is evil, right? At the beginning of the book. She does make up with them at the end. You know, I mean, they have one single conversation and then everything is magically fixed, you know, because I think Anna Wong is actually allergic to nuance. But anyway, she says that, you know, her besties, the ones that she's been friends with for at this point 8 years, because they met when they were 18, Stella is now 26, don't know anything about her relationship with her family. They think that she has a perfect family relationship with every single member. So she's like, she's never revealed to them that she has a strained relationship with her family because they are in very like high-powered type jobs and Stella is in a creative pursuit. And her family finds issue with that. And so Stella has never told any of her 3 alleged best friends that, like, any of this. So on the one hand, like, is it a little bit #relatable? Yes. But also, like, this is not something that ever gets resolved in the book. Like, when I read that line, I assumed that part of Stella's character growth was that she would start opening up to her friends more. But that doesn't happen. She does open up to her friends more about the stalker, but only because Christian makes her. He tells her, you have to tell your friends about the stalker because it's a security issue where if your friends don't know that you have a stalker, they might accidentally put you in more danger through their actions. So she does. And then that's the only character growth we get regarding this trait of Stella's, where she's very reluctant to open up to people, even though she claims that they're her best friends. There's not a single shred of character growth that happens for either of these characters that doesn't revolve exclusively around the other half of the romantic partnership. And that's what I don't like about like modern romance books. Like these types of romance books is that like Stella doesn't even really need friends in this book because they don't serve any purpose other than to be there and to remind us about the books that they had earlier and then their love stories that they went through. If you took Bridget, Ava, and Jules out of this book, there's not a single plot point that would change at all. Because every single plot point, every single story beat, every single modicum of character growth that occurs is exclusively because of Christian. And her friends don't matter at all. And I don't like this trend in modern romance where it's like all about the big, strong alpha male hero who stalks me and controls my life, but it's okay because he's hot and because he caused me to have character growth. And it's just like, but what's the point of her even having friends? Like, they don't do anything. They don't serve any kind of purpose at all other than to remind us about the other 3 books in the series. They're so pointless. And this whole story beat about like even mentioning that she has a hard time opening up to her friends and then Christian forcing her to do so. I mean, the only reason she does it at all is because Christian makes her. It's not because she grows and learns to trust and like comes to understand that having emotionally vulnerable relationships is difficult and sometimes scary, but ultimately a force for good in your life. Nothing. None of that happens. It's just because Christian told her to. I don't know. It's wild to me. I don't understand. I'm like, this is not how a relationship should work. It's not healthy. And I'm like, listen, a book like this is not aiming for a healthy relationship, obviously. But it's just so unhealthy that her entire life now just revolves around him. Like, there's nothing she has going on in her life at any point in this story that isn't about Christian. Even her fashion brand, she's like, the only reason she has the courage to go for that is because Christian says, you should have more courage to go for your dreams. And she's like, I should. It's just, and that kind of goes both ways because Christian has no close relationships, really. Stella is the only person that he has ever opened up to in his whole life, and presumably ever will, because he has allegedly friends, kind of. I mean, he has a monthly standing chess date with Alex Volkov, where they drink whiskey, play chess, and don't talk to each other. Okay. He is allegedly best friends with Reese from book 2, except that they never talk about anything ever. And when Reese kind of a little bit tries to discuss Christian's newfound experience of having an emotion with him, Reese or Christian is just like, will make a joke or insult him or anything. It never goes anywhere. And then he hates Josh from book 3, which is funny because all these men suck. So they should all be hated. But it's funny that he hates Josh from book 3. And then he has his other friend, allegedly Dante, the one that I thought was going to be a villain because he's olive skinned, but he actually just turns out not to be a villain. He actually turns out to have no bearing on the story whatsoever. And allegedly they are friends, because Christian is entrusting this man with a painting that his mom painted, and he has entrusted Dante to keep it safe for him, and that's the only trusting relationship he has in the entire world outside of Stella, is that he trusts his bro Dante to take care of this painting and not let it get stolen again. But then we don't know how they met. We don't know how they know each other. We don't know what their friendship looks like. This book takes place, the main chunk of the book, excluding the many, many, many epilogues,
takes place over a roughly 7-ish, maybe 8 months. And they never talk to each other. Maybe twice, once at the beginning when Dante meets Stella, and then they talk to each other one time in the middle when Christian accompanies Stella to New York City where Dante lives.
I can see the Statue of Liberty from here.
And they have dinner with Dante and his fiance who hates him. Like, he and his fiance hate each other. I don't know. I'm assuming that they either feature in one of Anna Wong's other books, or they will be featuring in a future book, because like the number of men and women that are just randomly tossed into this book that never come up again, I'm like, I just assume that she's either referring back to a book of hers that I have not read, or she's like laying some sort of tiny groundwork for a future book. But because none of them matter at all, they're just mentioned. I mean, Stella allegedly makes a new friend in this book that she meets at like a fashion show. Her name's Lila. She meets her at like a fashion show or something like that. They get coffee once where Lila allegedly gives her a bunch of advice on how to start a fashion brand, disappears for the rest of the book, and then in one of the, again, many epilogues, she mentions that she and Lila are good friends now. And I'm like, but we could have seen that scene. Like, you could have written the scene where Lila gives her fashion advice. And then, there's another point where like Stella's like, and then I had a second conversation with Lila where she gave me more advice. And I'm like, well, why didn't we see that? We just go from 0 to 60 of like, maybe I should start a fashion brand. And then 1 year later having a show at Milan Fashion Week with no information on how that happened whatsoever. And like, who is Lila? Like, allegedly she's making this new friend throughout the book, but we never even see her on page. It's all mentioned off screen. It's just, your characters can not only interact with each other unless they are on a deserted island and they're the only two human survivors of a shipwreck, and there's no other human beings have ever populated this island. I'm just like, like, you want me to believe that these characters have grown by the end of the book, but all of their growth revolves around the other person. And then Christian, his tragic backstory is that his dad was muck ducked during an art heist. And then his mom, 2 days later, because she couldn't live without her husband, took her own life. Right? And the reason that he hates art and hates love is because it ruined his family and made it so that his mom cared more about her husband than she did about her son. Right? And that's his childhood trauma. And yes, all of that is traumatic, even though hating the concept of art is extremely stupid. That is a traumatic thing to go through. But at the end of the book, it just makes me think that he's now on the exact same path as his mother. Because his entire life, his entire character, his entire, like, everything about him revolves around Stella now. And it just leads me to believe that if anything happens to Stella, even if they grow old and they live to be 90 and 95 years old, like, the second that Stella passes away, Christian is going to be ending his own life. Because he's not going to have anything to live for. Because yes, they do have a daughter at the end of this book. And he's like, oh wow, I love my daughter. But like, every single shred of your personality and your character revolves around your wife. And I have no confidence whatsoever that you're not going to go down the exact same path that your mom went down. Anyway, I didn't like this book. Okay, the first three I actually liked the first book. Like, the first book is very stupid. It's very dumb. The relationship is pretty abusive, to be honest. It also involves a lot of stalking. But it was a so bad it's funny type of situation. I mean, there are multiple villain monologues in that book. you know, books 2 and 3 were like fine. I liked book 2 probably more than book 3 because I didn't like Jules or Josh as a person or a character. But this book is bad. It's just bad. I don't think I have anything positive to say about it, other than that it gave me something to do on a long weekend, and it's so long. How is it this long and nothing happened? I mean, a lot of events happened, but in the end, nothing of worth happened. I need to eat this food that I made and drink some water and then go to bed. Yeah, oh my god, I have nothing more to say. Goodbye.